The mansion was silent that morning, too silent for a house that once echoed with laughter. The faint sound of the clock ticking in the marble hallway was the only sign that time was still moving. Eleanor Grant, the most feared and respected CEO in the city, sat alone at the breakfast table, her black coffee untouched. Her empire was worth billions, yet her heart felt bankrupt. It had been years since anyone had sung, "Happy Birthday," to her, and she had long stopped expecting it. But that morning, as she reached for her tablet, something small caught her eye, a folded piece of pastel-colored paper on the edge of the table. It was a birthday card. The kind children make by hand, with uneven letters and glitter that clung to everything. The handwriting on the front read, "Happy Birthday, Miss Eleanor," and beneath it, a child's crayon drawing of a woman with a crown and a smile. Eleanor frowned, confused. No one remembered her birthday, not even her assistant. She opened the card. Inside was a note written in neat, slanted handwriting. "Dear Miss Eleanor, we didn't know it was your birthday until I saw the calendar in the kitchen. I just wanted to wish you a happy day. You work so hard, and I know you're always busy, but I hope you take a moment to smile today. You deserve it. Mara and Lily." Eleanor blinked. Mara, the nanny. She remembered hiring Mara 6 months ago to take care of her niece, Lily, the only family Eleanor had left after her brother and sister-in-law died in a car accident. She had offered Mara the job without thinking twice, too busy managing her company to think about her niece's emotional needs. The nanny was quiet, efficient, and always respectful. Eleanor barely noticed her unless something went wrong. And yet, this woman had noticed her. Eleanor stared at the card for a long time, her chest tightening. Something about the childish handwriting, the warmth of the words, it cracked something open inside her that she didn't know was still breakable. Mara Lopez was in the kitchen when Eleanor walked in, her face pale with shock when she realized the CEO had read the card. "I'm so sorry, ma'am," Mara said quickly, wiping her hands on her apron. "Lily made it for you this morning. I told her you were too busy for." Eleanor raised a hand, silencing her. "You made this?" Mara hesitated. "We both did." Lily drew the picture. "I just helped with the message. She wanted to make sure you didn't feel lonely on your birthday." "Lonely," Eleanor repeated, the word catching in her throat like a splinter. Mara looked down. Children notice things adults don't. Eleanor wanted to dismiss her, to walk out and bury herself in meetings and profit reports, but something about Mara's soft voice stopped her. "Tell Lily, thank you," she said finally, and left the kitchen. But all day, the words haunted her. Children notice things adults don't. That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. Her mansion felt emptier than ever. The laughter that once belonged to her brother, the warmth that used to fill family dinners, it was all gone. She realized with a pang that she had never once sat down to dinner with her niece since the girl had moved in. Every evening, she stayed late at the office, convincing herself that money and stability were love enough. But was it? The next morning, she came downstairs earlier than usual. She found Mara and little Lily at the breakfast table. Lily's curls bounced as she tried to pour cereal into her bowl, spilling half on the table. Mara laughed and helped her clean up, humming a tune under her breath. The sight made Eleanor pause. It was such a simple, ordinary moment, but one she had never experienced herself as a child. "Good morning," she said softly. Both Mara and Lily looked up in surprise. Lily beamed. "Happy birthday." Again, Aunt Ellie. Eleanor felt something warm spread in her chest. "Thank you, sweetheart." She sat down, awkwardly, at the table. "May I join you?" Mara nodded, trying to hide her surprise. Of course. It was the first time in years Eleanor ate breakfast with someone who cared about her, not for her title, but for her. Days passed, and something began to shift. Eleanor started coming home earlier, curious to see Lily before bedtime. She'd find Mara reading bedtime stories or helping the girl paint watercolor flowers. Sometimes, Eleanor would quietly listen from the doorway, smiling without realizing it. One evening, as she watched Mara gently braid Lily's hair, Eleanor asked, "You're very patient with her." Mara smiled faintly. "Children need patience more than anything. The world rushes them to grow up. I try to slow it down for her." Eleanor nodded thoughtfully. "I suppose I never learned that lesson." "You still can," Mara said, meeting her eyes. That night, Eleanor found herself looking at the framed photo of her company's headquarters on her desk, the symbol of everything she had sacrificed for success. But for the first time, she wondered what it had really cost her. A few weeks later, everything changed. Mara came to Eleanor's office one afternoon, looking pale. "Miss Eleanor, I'm afraid I have to resign." Eleanor froze. "What? Why?" Mara swallowed. "My mother's been hospitalized in another city. She's all alone. I need to take care of her." Eleanor's heart sank. "Can't we arrange something? A leave of absence, anything?" Mara shook her head. "You've been very kind, but I can't leave my mother. I'm sorry." For the first time in years, Eleanor felt the ache of losing someone she didn't want to lose. She had grown used to people revolving around her like planets around the sun, easily replaced. But Mara was different. She had brought warmth into the coldest corners of Eleanor's world. "Take care of your mother," Eleanor said quietly. "If you ever need anything, call me." A month passed. Without Mara, the house felt hollow again. Lily missed her terribly, often asking when she'd come back. Eleanor tried to fill the void. She read bedtime stories, cooked pancakes terribly, and learned how to braid hair from a YouTube tutorial. She was clumsy, imperfect, and constantly apologizing, but Lily didn't seem to care. One night, when Eleanor accidentally burned dinner, Lily laughed so hard she fell off her chair. "Aunt Ellie," she giggled, "you're getting better." Eleanor laughed too, and realized it was the first time she'd truly laughed in years. One rainy afternoon, while working from home, Eleanor received a call from an unknown number. "Miss Grant," a tired voice said. "It's Mara." Eleanor sat up. "Mara, how's your mother?" "She's recovering," Mara said softly. "The doctors think she'll be okay." "I'm glad to hear that." There was a pause. "And how are you?" Mara hesitated. "Honestly, I've been struggling. The hospital bills are overwhelming. I was afraid to tell you." Eleanor's throat tightened. "You should have. You've done so much for Lily, and for me." That evening, Eleanor transferred enough money to cover the medical expenses. But more than that, she wrote a letter, a real, handwritten letter, to Mara. "You once told me children notice things adults don't. Because of you, I started noticing again, kindness, laughter, the small things that make life worth living. You gave me back a piece of my humanity I didn't know I'd lost. I hope this helps your mother heal, and I hope you know that you've already changed my life." 3 months later, Mara returned to the mansion to pick up a few things she'd left behind. But when she arrived, she found balloons on the front gate, and Lily running toward her. "Mara, you're back," the little girl squealed, hugging her tight. Eleanor appeared behind her, smiling warmly. "Welcome home." Mara blinked in confusion. "Home?" Eleanor nodded. "If you'll accept it. I was hoping you'd come back, not just as a nanny, but as part of this family." Mara's eyes filled with tears. "Are you sure?" Eleanor reached into her pocket and handed her something, a small, folded card, the same pastel paper Mara had once left behind. "I kept it," Eleanor said softly. "It reminded me that love doesn't have to be grand to be real." Mara wiped her eyes, unable to speak. That night, the three of them ate dinner together, real dinner, not something reheated in a microwave. Lily told stories about school, Eleanor laughed until her sides hurt, and Mara smiled through tears. The next morning, Eleanor stood at the window, watching the sunrise. Her company was thriving more than ever, but for the first time, she didn't feel the constant pressure of ambition. She finally understood something she'd been too proud to admit before: success meant nothing without someone to share it with. She turned when she heard laughter from the garden, Mara and Lily chasing each other through the morning dew. The sight filled her heart with peace. In her hand, she held another card, Lily's new one, decorated with hearts and glitter. "Happy Family Day," it read, "because now we're all together." Eleanor smiled through tears. For years, she had lived in a mansion filled with emptiness. Now, thanks to a poor nanny with a kind heart and a child with crayons, it finally felt like home. And from that day forward, she vowed never to let love go unnoticed again. Moral of the story: no one is too powerful, too rich, or too broken to need kindness. Sometimes, it takes the smallest gesture, a card, a smile, a moment of care, to remind us what truly matters. Love, after all, is the only wealth that grows when shared.